Okay, here we are in the semifinals of the STARBOW #5 ESL Tournament. Spawning here in the lower left corner of the map, it is EVZ. It is going to be for the clan CF. I should have looked this up, but I had to pee. It is the yellow Zerg player Key. And his opponent in the upper right, playing for a Prender SC2, it is the pink Zerg player ieAzael, who has been on fire today. Nigh untouchable, has been a wrecking ball to say the least. And we'll see if he can continue his warpath here in the semifinals. His opponents on the other half of the bracket, though, are shaping up to be pretty darn good. Old Peace Roads, again, going up against what will hopefully, fingers crossed, be a Scott. A Scott's put out a pretty good show today, too. Sorry, sprinted back to my computer there. Had to catch my breath real quick. Anyways, we'll see what ends up happening. ZVZ, we saw in the past, I think it was either tournament 3 or 4, I can't remember which one precisely, but we saw a lot of 10 pools going on. We saw a lot of Zerg players unable to deal with aggression, and quite frankly, it looked a lot like regular StarCraft 2. Whether that's going to be the case here or not, I'm very excited to see. I haven't got to see a lot of mirror matchups in general. I haven't got to see a lot of ZVZs, even less so. So, one thing I'm very curious about is, like, you know, I think lurkers are going to have a huge role in this matchup. I would imagine. I don't know. That's the wonderful thing. I don't know, and that's what I love about STARBOW, guys. Just trying to think of the potentials too. Mutilus, I imagine, would still be a bit of a threat. Roaches are still in the game. You don't get to see them used a whole lot. They have a really cool tunnel ability. I actually think it'd be a lot of fun in this matchup too. But for now, both players are playing it somewhat similar. You will note that pool times and such are slightly different than what you're used to. Again, that's a lot to do with the mineral gains you get off those mineral patches. As far as effectiveness goes, you know, you can throw the idea of like a 10 deep on a 13 racks as far as like economy goes out the window. And looks like Key will be coming across the map with some rather aggressive lings. Metabolic Boost is researching for both players behind this. But all it takes is a couple of really drone kills to really start catching you ahead or getting you ahead in this matchup. You will note Banelings are still in the game, guys. They're not used nearly as often. In fact, I don't know why, but almost nobody ever uses Banelings. I'm gonna sneeze again one sec. I blame my cat. She's getting all this fluff and fur in my room, and that's a lot of lings coming out. But ieAzael is also matching his opponent with a lot of his own lings. Didn't quite scout his opponent. Key, of course, going right across the map. I'm not sure if ieAzael doesn't know that it's only cross spawn on Texas, but I guess I don't know, you think the base layout would be a little bit more of a clue. Did send both of his overlords to the wrong spots. Not going to matter though, has his own lings out to deal with this. It is 12 lings to 10 with some decent control. Even Key could take an advantage here. He's got the Queen at home to defend with too. And Rage is going to add a lot of damage to this fight. On top of the fact the Spinecrawler will be finishing up in a moment's time. So ieAzael's kind of limited on what he can do here. As far as boxing his opponent in, might be the best choice for now. And we will in fact see a Baneling nest come out of one of our players. Again, I've seen a decent amount of matches in this in general, and almost nobody's gone for Baneling nest, not even in PVZ or TVZ anymore. Yeah, like that in chat. Banelings are in the game? If you say so. Pretty much, yeah. A big reason why you don't see them used so much, guys, look at this. By default, units don't clump as hard as they normally do. Marines, you can't force them to stand together. They hate each other and they push away from each other on the battlefield. Like, units do not clump, so it's a lot harder to get those, like, insane Baneling hits off, you know, where one Baneling just destroys the world. I actually have no idea if the STARBOW developers have tweaked with the Baneling mechanics at all. Again, I have not seen a single Baneling made in STARBOW in almost 5 tournaments worth of catching them so far. So we'll see what ends up happening. But look, yeah, see, like, he'll try and clump them up, right? And they'll just spread out, because that's, well, that's just how they do it. Spire's coming for both players. Now, I believe, whoa, Nurturing Swarm was used there a little bit. You don't get to see that graphic too often. What it does is, it's a Queen ability here. I'll show you guys just outright. It's just, where basically, it's like a transfuse, or it makes a building build a little bit quicker, which is kind of cool. I've never seen anyone actually use it, but getting your Spire out earlier, it's not exactly a huge advantage. The same problem is pressed as regular StarCraft 2, where you're not going to have the gas count, you're not going to have the insane mineral count to produce 10 Mutalisks right away, and, you know, flying them across the map, that's the difference of time that this Nurturing Swarm makes. So, it's, I don't know. It's cool that I got it out sooner, I guess. It's not really the biggest deal in the world, though. As far as map presence goes, Key's got a pretty good idea about where his opponent is. I mean, ieAzael cannot leave his base without Key seeing it, with ground units at least. Oh, he actually doesn't see that third coming down. ieAzael, on the other hand, pretty decent creep spread. He's got Overlord spread out too. He might not be able to deal with the Mutalisks right away, but he'll be able to deal with them eventually. Both players are producing a pretty fair amount of them. Looks like this matchup doesn't seem too different, guys. We got Carapace on the way here. Mutalisk swarms. No, he doesn't know about the Spire, and he doesn't know about the Spire, but they can both guess. I would assume. No Spore Crawlers coming down. We do have some Scourges coming out. Thank you, Starbow developers, for putting these in the production tab. This was something that was not available before. For those who don't know how Scourges work, Julia, you should already have OP. You woman, you. Of course, ESL Julia joining us in chat, guys. She's the wonderful person who puts all these and strings these ESL tournaments together for your entertainment. I just cast them. Anyway, Scourges, of course, are suicidal maniac units. They cost a fair amount of gas. They do a highly volatile amount of damage, and they actually have splash attached. It's minimal splash, but it's still splash nonetheless. 110 damage guarantees. They'll take out a Mutalisk like nobody's business. The problem is, you may have seen the video I made of microing, or showing the micro off. You can out micro Scourge with Mutalisks no problem if done precisely and correctly. But it is 12 Mutalisks to 9. Cannot let any of these Scourge connect, and of course he has his own. Where are they at? Sitting at home. Both of them a little bit lagging behind, but Lings underneath the Mutalisk to soak some of the glaive hits if at all possible. Scourges are fast, but not faster than Mutalisks. In fact, let's check the speeds. They're 3.49 compared to 3.49. So the exact same speeds. Oh, here got the Scourges for both players, though. Key looks to be a little bit ahead in that regard. I'm not sure. Whoa, lost a Scourge there too, but turns around at a dime and both players lose all of their Scourges. Now just Muta to Muta, 13 to 11. ieAzael's got the numbers, but does he know this is the question? And of course, they're not all clumped up. He needs to get these together for the fight. Spread out like this is simply not going to cut it. Backs away though, both players disengage, and you know, ieAzael's Carapace upgrades are going to be really, really nice for future engagements, but it's not close enough to be done to really warrant a fight right now. More Scourges may need to be produced, in fact should be produced here in a moment's time, I would imagine, if they're both going to continue very Mutalisk heavy, because while the Carapace guards against glaive worms and other Mutalisks, it doesn't really help that much versus the Scourge. Is BC QD in this tournament? Red Ox 6. Unfortunately, BC was having either computer or connection or ISP issues. I don't know what, but he was unable to compete today. So he had to forfeit in the first round, which is a little unfortunate because he's been kind of the king of Starbow. But for him to not partake in one tournament, I don't think will be the end of the world for him. Mutalisks are going to pick up some more Overlords for free, though. Key with some pretty good control so far. Units stacked upon units here, 17 to 16. If there were some Scourges in this tournament, God, this is worse than regular Muta Wars. How are we even supposed to know what's happening? Just watching the production tab or the unit counting station, I guess. It is 12 Mutalisks to 7, so ieAzael will take that victory. What was that supposed to be? I couldn't. You can't see anything. Starbow admins, can we get like a super ultra duper zoom in mode? Anyways. Looks like he will just kind of rotary around the base for the time being. I do really actually like that he used the Zerglings underneath the Mutalisks there. That was actually really key that he was soaking some of those glaive bounces, even if it was just 1 or 2. It's what really helped him snowball ahead. Good game is going to be called, and this tap out will be brought to you by ieAzael. Game number 1 in this best of 3. But again, it's a best of 3 and more to come.